I've been writing for a long time, and as a result, I've made plenty of mistakes, more than I would like to admit. And as a result, I thought it'd be a good idea to make this video to help some of you guys avoid making the mistakes I made when I was younger. Although, if I'm being honest, the best way not to make a mistake is to learn from your failure, which I've done plenty of times. Here's my video about 5 tips I wish I could give myself when I was a younger writer. My first tip is to get words on the page and keep them there. Yeah, it's great to write stuff down, but if you're constantly writing and then deleting and editing and changing what you wrote, you're never gonna make progress. So my tip is to write as much as you can, especially early on, and don't look back and edit until you're done writing. Like, finish your entire draft and then go back and look at it. Don't keep on going back and forth and editing, because then you'll never be finished. Because for me, I found myself, I spend a ton of time working on my first draft to the point where I spend months and I barely get past the first or second chapter when I could have been finished 3 times over by then. So write and don't delete until later on. My second tip for my younger self is not to compare myself to other authors, because I found myself multiple times reading a book and then feeling really bad about just how much better that book sounds compared to something I've written. Or maybe I read a friend's work and I notice all the good things they do and I just compare it to all the things I've done. 1, this is not constructive, and B, you're being too critical on yourself. A better way to compare yourself just to see that you're growing as an author is to compare yourself to yourself a couple years ago. So the way I like to compare my writing now in my journey is I look back and see how much I've improved from the way I used to write, and I compare my current writing to my old writing. That's much more productive than comparing yourself and your work to the work of other authors. My third tip is to make writing a habit. I know that doesn't sound too fun. Habits, a lot of them are like chores, like brushing your teeth and stuff like that. If you get into the habit of writing every single day, you're gonna be much better off. Now, of course, if you're not feeling good or you're stressed out, it's okay to take a day off. But getting into the habit of writing every day, or like a schedule of writing 4 times a week, will really help you build results over time. My next tip for a young writer would be to explore your own voice. I know a lot of writers want to explore the voice of their favorite authors and try to see how they can sound like them, but in reality, the best thing to do is to find your own voice and find the way that you want your book to sound. And a big part of this too is once you find your own voice, you're no longer comparing your voice to the work of other authors, which goes back to my previous tip. Also, your own voice is going to be unique to you. That way, no one else can write the way you do, because it's your voice. My final writing tip to the younger version of myself is to write what makes me happy. A lot of times I found myself early on trying to write what will people want to read? What would someone like? But the truth is, what you should focus on is what is the book that you want to write? What book do you want to read? Because I guarantee if you want to read it, there'll be other people out there that want to read it too. Thank you for watching my video on 5 tips I'd like to give myself as a younger author. What are some tips you'd like to give yourself? Are there any tips you think that I missed that you think would be really helpful for a younger version of yourself when you were first starting to write? If you don't already, please be sure to subscribe and like this video because it really helps out the channel. Thank you guys.